Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick review on my first 2 years of teaching. My name's Jimmy. If you've seen any of my other videos, you probably haven't. They're very small, but I've been teaching in a little school just in the northern New South Wales region, just outside of a town called Murwillumbah. I'm 35 years old. I've done careers in business and had my own business and digital marketing and that sort of thing. And I've gone into teaching, and I just wanted to talk about the first 2 years of sort of starting teaching in my 30s, and just give you guys an idea about how it was, how it is, what I've liked, what I've struggled with, what I've learned, and I'll put a couple of little tips in at the end so you guys can figure out whether, if you're trying to make the decision to go into teaching, or you've already started and you're just trying to get motivated and that sort of thing. I thought that if I had been in that position a few years ago and I saw this video, I feel like it would have helped. Alright, so in my first year of teaching, my attitude was, my little game plan was to try and just work in a few schools casually in the area and just sort of try and find a fit that worked best for me. Like, I've known from my previous jobs that if I thought it was mostly about fitting into the company and working, but I've realized along the way that the environment, the culture, all that sort of stuff is so important to figure out whether it's going to be a good fit for you. So my plan was to go to a bunch of different schools and see what felt like the best environment for me to learn in, to teach in, fit my values, fit how I like to do things. And so that's what I did at the start. I reached out to a bunch of schools in southern Queensland, Gold Coast area, and northern New South Wales, and started off with just one school, Sathya Sai College. It's a small little school, 120 kids in the high school. It's only been running for 5 years, and I started there, and as luck would have it, it fits super well. Like, it's an independent public school. It's a values-based school, so I guess the way I explain it is that it's kind of like a religious school but without the religion, so you get a bit of that human values education alongside your regular Australian curriculum. And it seemed like a nice environment to learn in, so I started doing casual there more. I liked the people there, the principal, and as I continued, I felt like, this was great. I was getting work and it felt like a good fit, so I went with it. I decided to, instead of actually looking at more places, I was like, alright, I'm going to double down on this one, help out, go to the staff meeting when I'm doing the casual, just helping out a little bit above and beyond. And pretty soon after the first term, I got a contract. There was a program that had come in during COVID called the COVID Intensive Learning Support Program. I did a little intro video on that before. I'll put a link somewhere. But don't watch it, it's not that good. Anyway, and so I started doing that as a contract, got a 6-month contract doing that, and that was basically running small group intervention, so 3 to 5 students. I'd work with them on English and maths in a couple of different grades, try and see each group 3 to 4 times a week. And I got to run that little program. So that was 4 days a week, perfect. I sometimes do casual on the 5th day. And I got to run a little program in a school. It was teaching, but small groups. I got to go into a lot of different classes as well and watch other teachers teach. So that was great, and I did that for 6 months, and then I got a little science teacher contract at the end of that year as well. So pretty much what I want to say is I had an attitude of going in that I'm just going to be flexible. I'm just going to work with whatever's going on. Put my hand up. If I'm getting too stressed, stop, but just try things and be really adaptable. I found the principal loved that, and she would then call on to me to try things, and I'd be like, yep, I'll give it a go. And so that was a good attitude to go in with, and it's carried on in the school and helped me in the education space. I've sort of noticed other teachers, if they're saying no, fair enough, I get that, but I guess then it's given me a couple other opportunities down the line. So not sure whether that will work for everyone, but if you're sort of the type of person you can be adaptable, it definitely helps in the education space. It helped me heaps my first year just to try things and figure it out as I went along. You know, it was all new anyway, so it was good to give it a crack. And another good thing was really getting to see other teachers teach as much as you can while you're learning how to teach. You know, it's great in your pracs as well, but there's a lot going on then. But if you can see other teachers teaching, that was a huge help as well. So yeah, be adaptable, be flexible, try and watch other teachers teach and say yes to a bunch of things, but obviously know your limits. Alright, in my second year, that first year led nicely into that. I got a contract for the whole year leading up to the end of the first year. So I got teaching geography for grade 9 and 10, and 8, 9 and 10, and then running that COVID intensive learning support program. So I was sort of 2 days on one, 2 days on the other, 4 days a week. So that was great. Sometimes I do casual on the 5th day. And that was a great level as well. Not having to do a full-time load gave me that extra flexibility. On that Monday I could either do casual or I could do extra work to make sure I was going well in my regular work. Sorry, wait for that one. Through the second year, actually getting my own class was great. I really found out I was slow at lesson planning, so I had to dedicate time to that, and that's probably to be expected when you're just starting. It's a lot to think about. You know, you've got content you're working with. Depending on your school, you might have great resources, you might have a bunch of resources all mixed up, you might have no resources. So that's a big challenge in trying to, for a lot of teachers I imagine, trying to get those resources together. So you really have to dedicate some time to planning, programming, all that sort of stuff. You know, but for myself, that took a lot of time doing that lesson planning, and that was tough. But on the other hand, I really loved getting to see the class and getting to be in front of it and work with the kids, get to know them, get to know how they work, start to learn how to teach better, really, how to convey information, how to get people learning and trying, and how to differentiate across different areas of ability and interest and in many factors. It's definitely appreciating the complexity of teaching. It's still, like, I'm excited by it, but I'm not too overwhelmed by it. I can see how that would happen in those early stages, and it definitely did at times, but recognizing that, you know, each class is just the next opportunity to have a go at it, try it a different way, you know, especially if you're in those sort of middle school years. They're learning, you're learning, their attention's crazy, you know, there's a lot going on in those times. So just give yourself a pat on the back as you're going, because it is hard, but it's interesting as well. It's challenging. If you sort of, same as in the first year, if you have a good attitude of just, I'm here to learn, I'm here to try, you know, I'm not going to nail it, I'm just going to do the best I can, that sort of thing, you're going to be able to get through those harder times. It's a weird little ride, but it was good. And on the other hand, that COVID intensive learning support program, that was great. I'd sort of already had 6 months working on that. Felt like I was getting better at it. We had good support from the program coordinators. AIS was our program coordinators, and a fellow Ben Cray. I actually did an interview with him. You can see on my YouTube. He used to be a principal, and he was the program coordinator for that AIS as well. So working with those supports outside of the school, that was the first time I'd done that, and that was really interesting, really great. There is a lot of support outside of the school as well, and again, our school was great for learning and trying different things. I guess probably some good points for the second year was that I really worked on my relationship building with the kids. Like, you know, even if I had wasn't on lunch duty, I'd sometimes go out into the lunch area and just have chats with the kids. I recognize that so many of our interactions with the kids, often if around uniform, behavior, blah, 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 they can be quite negative or intense. I just really wanted to try and balance that out and put that work in to create those relationships and have a laugh with the kids, kick the footy, see what's going on, listen to them, talk to them, all that sort of stuff. And that was great. I feel like that putting that investment in time really helped me in a lot of ways with the kids. And I started finding in that second year that when I'd make an announcement on assembly, like there'll be a little applause and cheer, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like making friends with them, just building a good relationship with them, and it felt like that helped me in a lot of parts when I'm teaching, when I had different roles. Like, further to that first year attitude of trying and being flexible, in the fourth term of this second year, our wellbeing coordinator went up into the deputy principal role, and so there was an opening for wellbeing coordinator. And I put my hand up, said, yep, I could do that. And so it meant dropping my geography class, giving that to someone else, and going into that wellbeing coordinator role, which, for those who don't know, wellbeing coordinator in our school is basically like the disciplinarian sort of marshal type role mixed with a school counsellor, mellow school counsellor type role. So any discipline issues that come up, any emotional issues that come up, you're sort of the guy to go and work with the kids in that situation, and the teachers as well. And so I took on that role, and that was really good. It was really challenging, it was tricky, but I felt like having that relationship with those kids helped me heaps. I didn't have to be so strict and intense. I could mostly just listen to the kids and let them talk through their interpretation of the events and and usually they knew what they'd done and why it had become such an intense experience. Whether they've blown up and punched their lunchbox, or whether they've, been upset and cried and run out of the room, whatever it is, I found, having built the relationship with them, I could work with them in each of those situations and not make it worse, at least. So that was good, and that was a good experience. So yeah, I guess they're my first 2 years of teaching. I would say, be flexible, be adaptable, find the school, spend some time looking for a school that works for you. I feel like I spoke to Amy, I did a little interview with her, you can see on my YouTube. She was talking about how, a few different schools, and was trying to work for longer periods of time in them before figuring out whether they were good, and it seemed like it took a toll on her quite strongly in terms of her motivation and her perspective on teaching. If you can, try and look at a few schools and choose one based on what feels right and good for you. Have that attitude of flexibility. Put your hand up for a bunch of things, but definitely say no if it doesn't feel right. And take it easy on yourself. It takes a while to learn how to program and plan well. There's a lot of things to do in teaching, so concentrate on trying to get your own teaching skills up, your classroom management, your differentiation stuff, your communicating, your talking, your writing on the board, using technology. Work on those skills first and just build them, and work on developing your own style as well. Figure out what your strengths are and work in with them. Like relationship building, that's one of my strengths, so I used that and that helped me a lot. My weakness is probably the programming and lesson planning, so had to dedicate some more time to that. And I think that's probably the main sort of stuff. Those first 2 years led me to go into this next year still with the same school, and I'm going to be doing the learning support program coordinator for the school, which basically means I'll be working with the kids and the families who maybe have different abilities or different disabilities, and working on figuring out what adjustments they might need in their education to help them succeed, and then making sure the teachers know what those adjustments are, everything's communicated back and forth, and just giving those kids, you know, whether they've got autism or dyslexia or a physical disability, whatever it is, just making sure they're feeling like they're supported really well. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting role. And then also, you know, put the hands up, try anything. I'm doing marine studies, so a new subject for me, but I think it'll be a fun one. 5 days a week, full time again, so that's good. So I'm going to keep trying to do some videos along the way and keep putting some things in. Looking forward to seeing how, a little aside, how this ChatGPT thing works out for the future. So far it's been really interesting to get to know the technology. I think we're going to have to utilize it. You know, it's going to be interesting. Anyway, I think I want to do a video on that. So yeah, anyway, that's the first 2 years of teaching. Hope this has helped you, you know, develop some perspective, got a bit more of an idea of reality, maybe some expectations, definitely some attitudes to take into it. Give us a comment or whatever if you're just starting. Love to see where you're at. Ask us any questions, you know. Yeah, good luck. Enjoy. Thanks, guys.